Welcome to Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. I'm a board-certified music therapist, author, and expert on how to use music to relieve stress fast. This episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold is sponsored by Dr. Nisi, trainer and certifier of master and executive coaches, because she believes every person, every relationship, every business, and your finances should be extraordinary. Find out more about Dr. Nisi Moore and the Life Coaching Institute at www.drnisi.com. That's DRNEECIE.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. It's so great to be with you, and I'm so glad you're here. This week, you're going to hear yoga and recovery expert Nikki Myers help you get out of your head. Nikki has combined the somatic practice of yoga with the cognitive practice of the 12 steps in order to help people integrate the good and the bad in their lives. Whether or not you consider yourself in recovery, I guarantee that you have parts of your past that you'd rather not have as a part of your whole. Listen and hear how Nikki describes how she sees the whole of her journey as a blessing. My hope is that when you hear what she's been through and where she's decided to go despite it all, it will give you inspiration to drive your own journey in whatever direction you want to, even more powerfully than ever before, despite whatever's happened in the past. So, sit back, listen in, and I'll see you on the other side. As an accomplished speaker, teacher, and practitioner, Nikki Myers is an MBA, CIAYT yoga therapist, somatic and experiencing practitioner, addictions recovery specialist, and health coach. Born from her personal struggle with addiction and work with countless students, Nikki is the founder of Y12SR, Yoga of 12-Step Recovery. Based on its theme, The Issues Live in the Tissues, Y12SR is a relapse prevention program that weaves the art and science of yoga with the practical tools of 12-step programs. Y12SR meetings are available internationally, and the curriculum has rapidly become a feature of addiction recovery treatment centers. Nikki's work's been featured in the New York Times, Black Enterprise, the Huffington Post, Origin Magazine, CBSNews.com, and countless podcasts. Nikki's talk today is called Y12SR, Issues in the Tissues. Nikki, welcome to the summit.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm absolutely just delighted to be with you. Before we dive into the Y12SR, the crowd wants to know, what was your first concert?
My first concert, believe it or not, was Jimi Hendrix.
Stop it!
Jimi Hendrix.
Come on!
Jimi Hendrix. That was my first concert.
Where do you go from there? There's just...
I know.
You're out. You're done. You're like, I'm out.
I know.
One and done. Jimmy. Holy cow. Congratulations on having that in your life. What a treat, right?
I love it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I love being able to say that. Right?
I bet. Right? Totally. And I don't think everyone knows this. One of our little our connections is, I think, if I remember, we share the same birthday. Could your birthday be August 31st?
We share the same birthday.
The greatest day. Out of 365 options, there is only one that rolls off the tongue like August 31st.
That's right. The best.
I know, and I love taking credit for it as if I had anything to do with it whatsoever. Oh yeah, best birthday.
That's too funny. Thank you so much for inviting me to this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had the joy of listening to you teach with Tommy and Rolf when you guys were shooting the online conference. And I learned so much from you that day. And I would just was so happy in your presence. And I was like, Nikki not just has a lot of great information to share, but her being, who she is as a human being, like I want more of that. And so like this is just my little selfish excuse to get more of that. And then everybody else gets to kind of like, have some Nikki also.
I love it. I love it. All right.
So take us through what is the 12 steps, the yoga of 12 steps recovery.
Go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And let me get this straight. I should go like till 20 after the hour.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Let's see how much I can throw in a short period of time. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. So I am delighted to be with everyone that's here. So deeply grateful and so deeply honored. Usually I start things out with a little introduction, particularly for those who don't know me. And I'll tell you why I introduce myself this way, and it'll kind of lead us into this whole conversation about the issues living in our tissues. So wherever I am, wherever I'm speaking, I do this thing, right? And I say, hello, my name is Nikki, and I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a codependent, I'm the survivor of both childhood and adult sexual trauma. I'm a love addict, I'm a recovering debtor spender, and the big 3-letter word there, and, right? That's such a big word. On the other side of that, I'm an MBA, I'm a yoga therapist, I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner, which is this trauma healing work that was developed by Dr. Peter Levine. I'm the founder of Y12SR, which is the Yoga 12-Step Recovery. I am the mother of 2 living and 1 deceased child. I am the grandmother of 5, and I am actually now the great-grandmother of 3. I've got 3 beautiful great-grandchildren. And close your mouth, Tim, right?
And did you have your first kids when you were 6? Come on now.
No. And I always want to point out, I don't really say this as what I once heard a speaker describe as inspiration porn. This isn't inspiration porn, right? You see, here's what I've discovered, that all of those experiences are a part of my being. They're part of who I am. And when I ignore or deny or create pretense or any of those things around any part of them, what gets created is a split. There's an internal war that starts going on inside. When I make one part bad, awful, and wrong, and another part right and wonderful and praiseworthy, that split happens and an internal war erupts. The healing work in this whole thing has been the reintegration of all parts of myself, reintegrating all those fragments. And I left fragments here, there, and everywhere, right? And this has been that part of it. None of it is good or bad or right or wrong or inferior or superior. The truth is, there is simply no way to heal what we don't acknowledge, right? And today I'm interested in healing. I am interested in healing. Healing is very different than curing, right? Curing is what we often expect medical professionals to do. And many times that is about eliminating symptoms without necessarily addressing the underlying problems, right? The whole etymology of the word healing is to make whole once again. It's in reclaiming and remembering our wholeness. right? And here's the real deal about that. Once there's integration, then there comes the possibility of recognizing, while all of those things are an integral part of my human experience, the truth is none of them define me. None of them define me, right? I'm human and I'm so much more. I'm so much more. And so the idea, once again, is how do we bring this integration in? And that's where we get at this whole thing around the issues living in our tissues, right? Which is, we said before, it's been the theme of Y12SR forever. The idea is that all of those experiences are in fact energy. They are in fact vibration. That's vibration. And that is here, and that is within me. And energy wants to move. That is the nature of what energy does. When it can't move, when it is, held or grasped or clung to or any of those things, then it turns into something different. So anger, nothing good, bad, right, or wrong about any energy or any emotion. Anger held, denied, ignored, any of those things will turn into rage. But anger that's allowed to move can be motivation. It can be strength. The exact same thing. Held, denied, grasped will turn into something different than if it's allowed to move, right? Fear can turn into paranoia, right? But fear allowed to move can have wisdom associated with it. When it moves, there can be wisdom, right? There's a reason why, I have a fear of stepping in front of a moving car, right? There's wisdom in that. But fear that's held, it's denied, ignored, any of those kinds of things can turn into something else. So this whole idea is how we can allow energy to move. It's very interesting because animals in the wild know how to do that, right? Animals in the wild, even though they're routinely exposed to traumatic events, don't suffer from trauma, right? They know what to do in this case. They move, they shake, they do all this. And when it's over, there's this sigh, and then they keep doing whatever it is that they were doing. Humans, because we have all this rationalizing and justifying and reasoning, right? We will make excuses, right? We'll say the words, I'm fine, right? And we know what that stands for, right? Right. I'm just gonna say it, right? Fine is fucking incapable of normal emotion, right? Incapable of normal emotion. And then we hold on to it, right? We hold on to that energy and it can't move. And so the whole idea of the issues living in our tissues is to find a way to bring a sense of integration, a sense of cognitive and somatic work together, right? The soma work is as we work with our bodies, right? And to bring that, if we just let it stay here in the head, we could be running in circles with that for decades, which I did. I played in my own life what I love to call whack-a-mole forever. I went from this experience with substance into relationship addiction, into debtor spending, into all those things. And the truth is, unless we get underneath it, all the way underneath it, and create what I love to call a platform for sustainable addiction recovery, then we could be in this cycle of playing whack-a-mole forever and ever and ever, right? And so that's the whole idea. What we do in Y12SR is just that. we oftentimes talk about Y12SR as both a community organizing and education platform that couples these things, deeply couples the pragmatic and just really beautiful cognitive work of the 12-step program with the practices and the philosophy of yoga, right? And along with that, all the things we now know as far as neuroscience is concerned about what happens with addiction in the brain, coupled with trauma healing. So connecting these dots, bringing these things together in such a way that it allows us to, for even at an individual level, to create a sustainable platform for addiction recovery. I love that thought, right? I really love that idea. The yogis, the ancients speak of, we're not just one body, that in fact, that there are 5 bodies. So we need to create a recovery platform that addresses all 5 rather than just the one and the mind. So, you know, for me, it's been a gift. My history has been relapse. I was clean for 8 years and I relapsed. Then I was clean for another 4 years and I relapsed again. And I can say that due to this idea of creating this sustainable platform and this coupling of the cognitive and somatic, it's been 20 years now since my last relapse. And, you know, it's been this has taken my recovery to a whole nother level. One, you know, I didn't even know existed. And so I'm just so deeply honored and grateful for all of that. I'm grateful to be here too.
I really appreciate that. I love this idea of coupling cognitive and somatic together. I think that is so important because we forget that we're these embodied machines of energy, and we have to move that energy, right? And I love the idea that John Bradshaw, my mom quoted John Bradshaw saying, emotion is short for energy in motion.
Motion. Yeah. Your mom, I remember John Bradshaw. Yeah. Yeah. John Bradshaw is where I first heard this, right? That I can be so busy being a human doing that I forget that I'm a human being, right? Yeah, those are John Bradshaw's words, and they deeply, deeply touched me years ago. Right. And I love that. That is what this is all about, right? Remembering that really brain, mind, all of those things, you know, there are more serotonin receptors in the gut than there are in the gray matter of the brain, right? And so this is all over our being. And there's a storage mechanism for our stuff all over our being. So the idea is to move that and to let these things move, let this energy move.
Brilliant. Where do all of our audience and our community, where do we find you online? Where do we find meetings? Tell us how to connect with you.
Got it. It's at y12sr.com. It's easy. And straight there, straight away, you can see there's a tab for meetings. And meetings are everywhere. Wow. I mean, they're listed by state, by country, by all of that. They're simply everywhere.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it is. And it's just been this grassroots thing, Tim. Wow. You know, it just has grown out of just grassroots.
Yeah.
Grassroots. So yeah, I'm so grateful.
Nice. Nikki, it is such a treat to be with you again. Thank you for sharing your love and your wisdom with our audience today.
And thank you for doing this. This is fabulous. This is fabulous. Yeah, thank you.
All right. I'll see you again.
All right. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for checking out this episode of Reduce Your Stress with Tim Ringgold. I've got a couple of resources for you, which you can find in the show notes or you can listen to right here. So check it out. If you enjoy the sound of my voice and you enjoy the sound of my guitar, imagine them put together. Go to sonicrecovery.com and take your very own relaxation vacation, where I take you out of the stress of the present moment and back in time to a time when you felt happy, healthy, safe, and sober, and then walk you through that memory so you can bring back those feelings into the challenges you're facing today. So go check that out. It's at sonicrecovery.com. If you're a healthcare worker in recovery, check out the Music in Recovery Self-Care Guide for healthcare professionals that I created just for you. That's at hcp.sonicrecovery.com. And if you're a healthcare worker and you'd like more information about how to help your patients use music, you can check out the Music Medicine Guide that I created just for you at musicmedicineguide.com. Lastly, if you enjoyed the pod and you haven't done it yet, would you just take a minute to rate and review it? It really only takes about 60 seconds, believe it or not, and it would go a long way to help us make more people know just how good this pod is, particularly for healthcare workers and their stress. Thanks again. See you next time.